My friends call me the Made in America Queen because I try to only buy Made in America items. USW members make everything from Pop-Tarts to aircraft carriers. We make the glass bottles for Tito's vodka, and that would have to be one of my personal favorites.
Today, we're going to be profiling a true young woman of steel on our podcast. Her name is Megan Salrin. I've been privileged to know her for 8 years, and I can tell you, even though she's still in her 20s, she's made a huge difference in the lives of steelworkers across the United States. We caught up with Megan a few weeks ago, and we were able to learn a bit more about her background and the kind of work she does today for the United Steelworkers. We're also going to throw some spice into this podcast with a few things Megan said 8 years ago as an intern for the Alliance for American Manufacturing, and more importantly, last year when she testified on behalf of the steelworkers on Capitol Hill. All of that coming up next on the Manufacturing Report. Before we get started with Megan's interview, I wanted to acknowledge something. Megan and I are from the same small town in Indiana by the name of Rensselaer. It's about halfway between Chicago and Indianapolis, a population of 6,000. And there are a fair number of manufacturing workers there. So I think it's truly extraordinary that she wants to give back not only to the Steelworkers Union, but to the people who make things with their hands back in her hometown. So check out what Megan had to say about her experience growing up in a union household and how it shaped her perspective.
I grew up in a union household. My grandfather was a member of ASME his whole entire career, and my dad just retired a couple of years ago. He was a steelworker for 28 years. So I just knew what a union job meant to families and how they offered family-sustaining wages and benefits, and I just wanted to be part of the movement. If we take Rensselaer, Indiana, a very small town, but a couple manufacturing facilities. Not all are unionized, but manufacturing offers a stable, in union facilities, family-sustaining wages and benefits, and it allows for communities to thrive and be able to offer various resources and grow their community in a way that, is kind of being left behind or was left behind, but with a lot of new policy put in place by the Biden administration, it's kind of picking back up.
And Megan expands on that hometown connection when she talks about a trade case she worked on with then Congressman Pete Visclosky affecting a mattress manufacturer in Rensselaer.
So prior to joining the Rapid Response Team, I worked for USW's Legislative and Policy Department, and then I also worked for a variety of members of Congress. But one of my first trade cases, my anti-dumping and countervailing duty cases that I worked on for my boss, Pete Visclosky, was about mattresses getting dumped from a variety of countries, particularly in Southeast Asia. And there's a manufacturing facility that makes Sealy mattresses in my hometown.
Go ahead, give it a try. It's a Sealy.
And so just to see that connection was really important, and being able to help save those jobs from unfair trade was top notch.
As Megan notes, the stakes were high.
I would say the community would have been devastated. That's a couple hundred jobs lost in a very small community. That's a lot of families too, right? That's 200 workers, but think about all the families that are supported by that job, and members of the community that would have had to move or found another job, maybe not in the same industry, or maybe not for as much pay or benefits. And so it was really important to be able to keep those jobs at home.
And building on that, Megan describes a policy priority for the steelworkers and for the Alliance for American Manufacturing, for that matter, that's also a passion project of hers.
It's one of my favorite bills, and I am dying for it to get passed, but it's Leveling the Playing Field Act 2.0. And it was originally introduced by Senator Sherrod Brown, who is no longer in the Senate, but it has been reintroduced. And what it would do is it would make the process to file trade cases against countries that are dumping product into the United States. It would streamline that process and make it a lot easier for us to combat circumvention, which basically means a country gets a duty put on a product because they're dumping it, but then they go and build a facility in another country. We call it country hopping. And that would allow for the US government and the Department of Commerce and the International Trade Commission to enforce those duties on those countries that the other violating country went to start another manufacturing facility to dump more product into the United States. So it would be very beneficial, not only for manufacturing, but other goods that are sent to the United States that are subject to anti-dumping and countervailing duties.
So over the years, Megan has been asked about some of her favorite Made in America products and Made by Steelworker products. Her passion for these goods is so deep that some of her friends refer to her as, get this, the Made in America Queen. Let's check out some of her favorites.
My friends call me the Made in America Queen because I try to only buy Made in America items. But one of my favorite products is jewelry from a small company in Detroit called Rebel Nail. And it's really cool because they take graffiti and other chipped paint from like stadiums and schools and they turn it into jewelry. And recently they just did a line of the Packard plant in Detroit. And I really hope that one time they can do a line with a steelworker facility kind of graffiti in there. I think that would be really cool. And I wear them all the time. USW members make everything from Pop-Tarts to aircraft carriers. We make the glass bottles for Tito's vodka. And so that would have to be one of my personal favorites.
I don't know that I've ever met anyone who received a Vermont teddy bear.
Well, I got my first Vermont teddy bear from my grandparents after they went on a summer trip out east, and they picked it up at the Vermont store when my grandma actually toured it. And I'd say in middle school, so I mean, it was just kind of a gift from your grandparents. But when I went to college, I came home for spring break, and my mom had gotten me the Hillary Clinton teddy bear. And I wanted that ever since it came out.
Wait,
so,
there's a Hillary Clinton Vermont teddy bear?
Yes, and it's actually, she's in a little pantsuit, a blue pantsuit with pearls and a little cell phone to mimic the iconic picture of her sitting on the airplane when she was Secretary of State with her cell phone in her hand. Vermont Teddy Bears actually posted a Joe Biden teddy bear and it had like little Ray-Bans on, and I wanted it, but they don't sell it. It was just like a specialty item for Joe Biden.
That sounds like a real marketing faux pas. I imagine that there'd be a lot of folks who would want a Joe Biden teddy bear.
I know. I would want one for sure.
All right. Well, maybe if he runs for president in 2020, they'll rev up the line again. So,
yes,
but I'm going to count on you to start the marketing campaign.
Gotcha. I will.
So, and I know that you have another kind of really cool and meaningful Made in America item, and you're wearing it today. Tell us about it.
So I actually have an Alex and Annie bracelet on right now. Alex and Annie is a jewelry line. They make bracelets, necklaces, rings, earrings, and it was founded in Rhode Island. And I got this bracelet as a gift after graduation from high school into college from a mentor back in Rensselaer named Chris. And it is supposed to represent the journey that I'm about to take on through college. And let me tell you, it's been a journey for sure. But each of their bracelets represent something different, and they're just really unique, and they're stylish, and I wear mine with pretty much anything because it goes with everything.
That's awesome. And I know Alex and Annie is like a big brand. It's really kind of known by a lot of people. I'll bet a lot of folks don't know that, they're like headquartered in Rhode Island. That was once a big jewelry making place in the United States of America. They still make them there. And I recall from the last Super Bowl that I think Alex and Annie did like a big Super Bowl ad saying that they were made in America. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and each of their bracelets, which is really neat, have a little charm on them that go with it, and it has a little heart with the American flag in it. So it's kind of like their Made in America type of labeling there.
That's really cool.
So as I mentioned at the top, Megan had the opportunity to testify on behalf of the United Steelworkers before the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee of the House of Representatives last year. Her testimony is well worth checking out, and we'll drop a link into the podcast about how to find that. In addition, the committee asked her a couple of questions when she was off the witness stand. One question was, what can Congress do? Here's Megan's response.
I just testified about Buy America implementation, but there's other ways that Congress can act, and that is like passing trade enforcement mechanisms like the Leveling the Playing Field Act 2.0.
And also, how has that bipartisan infrastructure law, which passed a few years ago, how has that helped steelworkers?
Union members benefit in a lot of ways from making sure that there's fair wages for construction workers. We have members in Kentucky and Pennsylvania that are on road crews, to implementing stronger and expanding the Buy America policies that ensure our taxpayer dollars are being spent on American-made products.
And let's wrap this up with some advice Megan had as a college student and intern 8 years ago about shopping for American-made products.
I think a tip would be when looking at companies online, go to their About tab and kind of like just look at the history of the company and see what they offer for the community that they are located in. It really helps you, it really reassures you that you're buying a good quality product that's going to benefit the community and the workers that work at that company. So learn about the company a little bit.
And that will do it for the Manufacturing Report this week. I have to say, I come away from Megan Salrin's story inspired because I think she exemplifies the power of purpose-driven leadership at a young age, rising from an intern at the Alliance for American Manufacturing to becoming the United Steelworkers Rapid Response National Coordinator. Megan has remained steadfast in her commitment to American-made products and to the dignity of union labor. To me, her journey reflects a deep-rooted belief in economic justice and the strength of collective action, and I think she's an outstanding role model for anyone passionate about building a fairer, more resilient future for American workers.